Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Filmzero Presents. I'm Matt Brooks.
Phil Thomas.
Ryan McGinley.
Today we're going to be discussing the Jaws franchise. So, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're recording this in May, so this is like the time of year that I like to call Jaws season. It's
Matt patented Jaws season.
I did have a patent that. I should get a shirt like it says Jaws
season.
No, so
we're in the winter and say it ain't Jaws season yet.
Well, I don't know about our viewers out there, but I sure as hell can't watch Jaws when it's cold out. I don't know. I know, Ryan, you'll like be watching Halloween in like February, and you'll watch like It's a Wonderful Life in like March.
I once made the joke, and I know time is constricted, but I once made the joke. I think if Matt was in a film theory class at Temple,
we made it last week.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to say it again. Like, if the instructor or the professor decided, I'm like, we're going to put Jaws on just for the aesthetic value of it, the fact that it's a good film, I really think that if it was February or March, Matt would get up right out of that lecture hall and just storm out.
I'd have to flip a desk first.
That's right. That's right.
But
the glass table right over.
Pull
right?
Sinatra.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through each installment in the franchise, just give our thoughts on it. So let's start with Jaws 1. Now, Jaws 1 obviously is the very first blockbuster. So, I mean, that really started...
Where did the term
blockbuster
know where
the term blockbuster
I know it had something to do with the lines.
The lines around the theater were so
long
intense
they went around the block
that they
busted the block.
They broke the block.
Right.
So the blockbuster.
And so I mean, I don't want to go. Obviously, everybody who's watching this is familiar with the first Jaws movie. Obviously, it's for better or worse. It created the summer movie season that we have now.
That's right.
It's obviously it's a classic. I think it's one of the best horror movies of all time. I think it's a horror movie. I know some people, for some reason, debate that. Some people think that a horror movie has to have a ghost, it has to have a serial killer. It's a horror movie. Well, yeah, but
it's scary. It scared the crap out of people.
Animal attack movies, I believe, are horror. It's a subgenre of horror. Just like slashers, you have possession movies, you have witchcraft movies, you have animal attack movies.
It's definitely a subgenre of horror. People even argue Gremlins. What is it? Comedy? Is it horror?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
I think Jaws is definitely a horror movie. It's an action horror movie. I think it's suspenseful. Obviously, it's very well done.
Alien can be argued too. Horror or sci-fi.
Well, it's kind of a hybrid horror.
I've been in video stores as a kid, and I've seen it. I've seen it logged in the sci-fi section, and other video stores I've seen it logged in the horror section.
It volleys back and forth, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a couple things I want to point out about Jaws. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think we talk about this often. I think it's the limitations of what Spielberg had as far as the shark not working, was able to add to the atmosphere of the movie. So you don't see the shark until...
It was a very happy accident.
Yeah, it was a happy accident. I think that was very effective.
You can't have that happy accident nowadays if you're using CGI.
Yeah, right.
It's done in post anyway. But I think at the time that was really effective. I mean, the fact that it didn't work was probably the best thing for Spielberg's career.
So obviously it's a classic, and obviously I think it's the best of the four by far. So Ryan, what are your thoughts on Jaws number 1?
Jaws number 1. Branching off of what you guys said, I'm very into the acting, the human drama, and what you just said makes total perfect sense. Is that the shark didn't work for weeks and weeks and weeks. The tubes, the pneumatics didn't work because they tested the shark in fresh water and then they put it in salt water and everything kind of went to hell. And I'm not the first person to say it, and we are not the first people to say it, that the reason why the land scenes work as well is because Spielberg had time with Will Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Lorraine Gary, and Robert Shaw said the land scenes, as compared to the sequels, have a little bit more meat to them.
I agree.
You guys would. And so you really, time is spent with these characters. We care about them before we go out, and we gotta kill the beast, And and Matt, you're a teacher, Jaws is symbolic of all kinds of things, It just goes back in time where it's just like,
Moby Dick obviously is one of the biggest.
And
inspirations.
I'm sure even going back further, you know, you have a collection of guys that are courageous and they have to go out and deal with something. You know, be it a shark or a whale.
Have you ever
or
shown Jaws in your class? Just curious.
Well, how would I connect that to my? I mean,
Like end of like school year, like the last couple days or something.
No, I've never shown Jaws. I mean, one time I showed parts of Halloween, like well, it was on Halloween. Though.
Okay.
But
because end of the school year, going into the summer
Yeah,
season,
but-
last day or two maybe. It was
well, actually, a lot of teenagers have lousy taste in movies today, so.
You heard it right here. Lousy
Yeah,
taste
they
in
do.
movies.
A lot of teenagers have lousy
Teenagers.
tastes in movies.
You crazy kids.
Well, no, I mean that's another discussion though. So, what were you gonna say, Phil?
Okay. First, Jaws.
Yeah.
Hands down the best one. I would say I think that cast was just perfect. I can't picture anyone else in that role. Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss. You know, I mean, Robert Shaw, God bless him, died a few years later, I believe.
Yeah, 2 years later.
Yeah, 2 years later. Yeah. So he really didn't get to see the cult status that movie enjoys today. It's still standing the test of time. It's considered one of the best movies ever made. It's on the AFI Best 100 Movies of All Time list, and for very good reason.
It might be in the top 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I know it's in the top 100. It's probably up there in the top 5, top 10. Yeah, and it's just great. Lorraine Gary was great. Like, everyone was great. Spielberg said it was going to derail his career because he was so far behind on budget. I think he said that his career was just over after that.
But the 70s were a weird time. I mean, does anybody know the budget of Jaws?
I don't know. Top
It was probably less than 10 million.
really.
Because the first Star Wars was less than 10 million. And the studio was up Lucas's ass.
I think it's 7 or 8 million.
Yeah, and
I believe it's 7 or 8.
I don't know.
Let's not look it up, but let's just.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll correct us if anyone out there.
But there was
It's 6.5 million.
There was some kind of recession going on in the 70s where this was before the blockbusters. This was before Superman. This was before Star Wars. This was before all of these special effect movies where they figured it out after Jaws, where if they spent a little bit of money on special effects, they can get more and more people in from 8 to 80 to watch these movies. And it doesn't have to be just a genre film. It could be like the whole kind. The audience can, like I said before, from 8 to 80.
So Matt, Jaws 2.
All right, so Jaws 2 is interesting because of the 4, it's probably the one that I've seen the least.
Really?
Yeah,
Out of all the
of all 4, it's kind of like the middle child, I think, because Jaws obviously is a classic, as we all established. Jaws 3 and 4 are like almost Mystery Science Theater, like bad. I mean,
Right.
as far as like this over the top bad. Whereas Jaws 2, I wouldn't consider Jaws 2 a great movie.
It's not bad though.
It's not bad,
It doesn't hold.
and it's not awful like Jaws 3 and 4.
Right.
But it's kind of like meh, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, it's one of the movies that I know you and Ryan watched a lot more than I
I
did.
do like to. I grew up watching.
I never
I think
had
that
as much
maybe
of an
why.
attachment to it. So that's one I haven't seen in a few years.
we got to fix that. We'll watch it.
Well,
this
yeah.
year.
I mean, I
We'll do a
don't
Jaws
hate.
marathon.
I don't hate Jaws 2.
As much as the other movies
I-
aren't good, we should all watch 1 through 4.
See, 3 and
this
4 I've
summer.
seen a lot more. Like for instance, last year one of my friends had a bad movie party and we watched Jaws 3.
That is
because
that
it's-
definitely constitutes.
Well, we'll talk
a bad
about that in a minute. But so Jaws 2 is kind of one of those. I kind of equate it as the middle child. Like it's not great, but it's not awful. It's kind of like decent,
Yeah.
but I think it's kind of a rehash of the first a little bit.
Yeah, they took elements that worked in the first and used it, and then they spun their own elements, so it didn't work.
Ryan, you're a big fan of Jaws 2, so why don't you go on to you? You can
I'm a big
talk
fan
more
of
about.
Jaws too, because once again you have John Williams back doing
Blum, 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 blum.
it's not quite the dun, 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 ba-dum,
Blum.
boom.
I know,
But
it ain't quite
I'm
that,
sorry.
but I still like it.
But yeah, you got Johnny Williams back. Okay,
Ooh, first name basis. Johnny Williams.
My boy Johnny.
John
His
Williams.
number's in my phone.
Yeah.
Call me for this interview.
John Williams is back. I don't know. I like Jaws 2. I like it for the fact that it raises the stakes a little bit, and as all sequels should do. I mean, this is what I wanted to discuss on our sequel podcast, but we haven't done it yet. It raises the stakes. You got Chief Brody's sons out on the ocean. It's not just him. It's not just them chilling out on the beach with the shark attacking the shore and stuff like that. They're actually on the water with a shark out there. And I like Jaws 2. It's definitely lacking. Shaw obviously died in the first one. Richard Dreyfuss refused to come back. I think he once said he would rather fall down the stairs than do Jaws 2.
I wonder why that is. Why wouldn't he want to do Jaws 2?
I'm sure if Spielberg was involved, he would have been.
Oh yeah.
Throw a bunch of money at
Who
it.
was director for Jaws 3?
Jeannot Schwark, who directed Somewhere in Time, Supergirl, and Santa Claus the movie.
Oh, was that a canon movie?
No.
Isn't he doing those canon movies?
No, he did not
Oh.
canon movies.
Isn't Supergirl a canon?
No, that's the Saw Comics.
Okay.
So, long story short, I like Jaws 2. It's definitely lacking with the, to quote TV Guide back in the day, I'm talking back in the 90s, quoting a source, saying, the shark effects deliver, but the land stuff is lacking. All sequels, at least the sequel logic now is, and if we apply that to Jaws, is that I guess more people have to die.
Right.
And if you're making Jaws movies, the shark has to be angrier.
Halloween 2. Right. More people have to
God. And Halloween 2, I mean, more people have to die in grotesque ways because, you know, we're coming in the shadows of other, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's another podcast for another day. Okay, Matthew.
All right.
How do you
Jaws 3.
feel? Okay, Jaws, no, actually, no, not Jaws 3, Jaws 3D.
Yay. All right.
3D.
As I just said last year,
The third dimension of terror.
right.
That was the tagline.
Third Dimension of Terror. Well, I actually watched Jaws 3D last year. We actually watched it in 3D. My friend had a setup where he had a 3D projector. We had glasses, and we watched Jaws 3.
That's awesome.
That's
And it was bad.
It was bad.
Jaws,
Even in 3D, it was bad.
It was bad. It was. But see, Jaws.
But people went to see it.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Broadcasting shit
that
in
movie was
3D.
not a bomb. People went
no,
to see it.
it was successful.
You know what? Just because it was in 3D doesn't mean the movie's good. It was probably just shit in 3D. So, you know.
And obviously, it has the SeaWorld angle.
Mhm.
You know, it has the ridiculous. I mean, just really bad acting in that movie.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you like the fact that they kind of went away from the plot lines of Jaws 1 and 2? Do you like the fact that it was a new locale?
Yeah, I do like that. I like the whole idea that they're having it in SeaWorld. It's just I think the plot was terrible. That's the problem. And the acting was terrible.
Do you like or hate the fact that they shoehorned the Brody family in there? Do you think that was necessary?
No, I don't think that was necessary. I think that was just kind of like trying to link it to the first two. But
Do you think those were studio notes?
yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody, you know, what studio even put that out? Was it
Universal.
Was it Universal? Did Universal do all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jaws is a Universal property. Anybody who hasn't seen Jaws 3, I would recommend checking it out just for a laugh. It's a good movie just to have like a drinking game with. I don't even know what the game would be, but it's one you have to probably watch drunk.
Every time a bad scene comes on, you do a
You'd
shot.
probably be like
Yeah.
hammered in the first 20 minutes.
The shark effects in 1 and 2 were really good.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the shark effects in 3?
I think they were cheap looking.
There, the mother shark is
Yeah.
35 feet long. That's a big mama.
Yeah.
That is a big mama.
That's a big
I still there's that one scene, I don't know if you guys remember, like there's like that glass tank or whatever, they're like in the aquarium.
Well, they're in the.
Like that,
I guess they're in the headquarters, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like the nerve center of SeaWorld, where
Yeah.
they control everything, like the doors and stuff like that. And the shark is approaching.
Yeah, that's.
And it looks like maybe Liam,
Yeah.
threw a shark. And Liam is a talented kid, but it looks like the shark is like there's no motion from the shark and stuff.
Yeah.
We are not the first people to talk about this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, but I mean it's just like you
Yeah.
know.
So what are your thoughts on Jaws 3?
I grew up watching Jaws 3. I mean, it was always on. This is before basic cable, and this is before home video was there. I don't recall my parents ever renting Jaws 3 for me and stuff like that. but I saw it on PHL 17, the same channel I watched Halloween on.
Oh yeah.
And
Out of Philly.
I watched Jaws 3 a lot as a kid. That was the one I watched the most.
Jaws 3.
And at the time, I thought it was great. I didn't think the acting was hammy. I didn't think... I kind of sensed that the shark effects were not quite there. But I didn't know at the time that it was in 3D. It was just when it was advertised, when it was put out, it was Jaws 3. And I like Dennis Quaid. I like the fact that he's in that movie. And I liked, I can't remember the actor's name that plays his brother, that plays Sean Brody. But I thought it was pretty good too.
Was the British guy.
That's right. Philip Fitzroy, that was the name of the character. I can't remember his name. he passed away. And Luke Gossett Jr.'s in there.
Right.
Fresh off his Oscar win from An Officer and a Gentleman. So, no, Jaws 3 is
So he goes from an Oscar win to Jaws 3. Okay.
So Phil, what are your thoughts on Jaws 3?
Okay, well, Jaws 3 is probably my least favorite.
Ooh, least.
But as a kid, it was one of my favorites. I watched the hell out of that movie as a kid. I thought it was. I remember, like, being really excited because one of my friends, he was coming over. I guess we were like 8 years old or something like that, and my parents went to the video store and rented this Jaws 3, and he comes over and we put it on. I think he crashed over or something, and we're watching Jaws 3. We're playing a little Super Mario or something or whatever. And he was like, "This is awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, it really is." I didn't know who the hell Dennis Quaid was or any of his, Gossett Jr. I didn't know any of that stuff. I think Jaws 3 might have been one of the first movies I saw. I think I saw it before I saw Jaws.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's interesting. You saw 3 before?
Yeah, I think I saw 3 before Jaws. And I thought it was like the coolest thing. I actually loved the SeaWorld. I ended up
That's an interesting angle.
owning the VHS and watching it over and over. But I just can't watch it anymore. It's just so terrible. Watching it now is like bastardizing my childhood memories because I see it for how bad it is now, and I didn't see it then. So
I watch it. I return to it just for nostalgia. Because
that's the thing.
As a kid,
nostalgia ruins it for me.
As a kid,
the nostalgia ruins it because I just don't.
It's a good drinking movie, though. That's the thing. You're watching with friends and you're drinking. It's funny.
I would never be able to sit there and watch it by myself.
Well, yeah, you can get. No. But so
Matt, Jaws Revenge.
All right, so Jaws 4.
The Revenge.
Yeah,
no,
this
it's
is actually my
4,
least favorite of the 4 because I think there's not much. Jaws 3 is kind of campy and kind of fun to watch. Jaws 4. I don't know. I saw actually. This was the only one I saw in the theater.
I saw in the theater.
You saw it in
too.
theaters?
I saw it when I was 10.
Really?
Yeah.
It was 87, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's 87.
Summer of '87.
I still remember even when I was a kid, I hated Michael Caine in that movie.
I did too. Though.
I don't know why. I just despised Michael Caine in that movie.
His name alone.
Yeah.
Just needs to be punched in the face for that one.
So that's when he plays.
Hey Ryan, didn't you say something funny that Michael Caine said about that? About Jaws Revenge was a piece of crap, but it bought me a boat.
Jaws 4.
Something along those lines.
Okay. For our viewers and listeners, all 120 of you, whatever, is that Jaws 4 went over schedule, and it was a big old mess because the shark wasn't working. Shark wasn't working once again. The previous year, Michael Caine was in Hannah and Her Sisters by Woody Allen, and he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and he could not collect his statue because he was working on Jaws 4.
Really?
And he, in his sit-downs with people nowadays, there's always some smart-ass interview person that says, "Hey, how about Jaws 4? Jaws 4 bought me a house." Whenever I think about Jaws 4, I think about the house that I have. I don't know where the house is, but it bought me a house. So,
interesting.
Yeah, but he couldn't collect the statue.
So Phil, why don't you wrap us up with Jaws 4? What are your final thoughts?
Okay, so Jaws 4: The Revenge. Remember, first time seeing it, being really scared. The first time I saw it was in the theater, and I remember sitting there, and when Sean goes out on the boat.
In the beginning, right?
In the beginning, and when I realized that his arm was missing he had that yellow rain jacket.
Right.
Coat. and it was just shredded.
Was that movie PG or
PG-13.
PG-13?
It was PG-13.
Was it PG-13?
I'm pretty sure it
It's
was.
just shredded, and there's like a big
It's
gaping
terrible.
hole there.
That was a good performance, though.
That scared me. Yeah, he was good. He was really good. Whoever that actor is, I don't know.
I think he was on Doogie Howser.
He was on Doogie Howser. Yeah. He was good though. He was a good actor. He did a
Doogie
great job
Howser,
in that.
MD.
He did a great job in that scene. And like, yeah, I mean, I like Jaws 4. People hate it. People hate it. I like Lance Guest. Lance Guest is really cool.
Well, we all love Lance
Fighter.
Guest. We all love Lance Guest.
That's for a different podcast.
I've
though.
met Lance Guest.
The Lance Guest podcast.
And I met Lance Guest, and I asked him about the blood slip in Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, my character. I asked him, I was like, did your character die, right? When you go into the car and you pass out. I know I'm getting off from another movie.
Yeah.
But he was in Jaws 4.
Tangent the podcast.
And he was like, no, I did not die. He's like, there's this deleted scene.
And
at
that
the
brings me
end
to
of
the last
Halloween 2.
Starfighter.
In Halloween 2, we're actually in the ambulance with Laurie, and I do survive. Like, so my character does live. So, but yeah, he was great, and I thought he was really good in Jaws of Revenge. And the little girl, here's a little very sad tidbit. The little girl.
Don't tell this story.
How old is the little girl?
She was about 8 or 9 maybe.
Uh-huh.
She died like the following year. Yeah, she got.
Yeah, I remember you
her
told me.
her father killed her,
Ooh,
and her mother.
Wow.
I believe he doused him with gasoline, lit him on fire, or something like that.
That's a downer.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about the downer, but
Yeah.
it's just
Debbie Downer.
it's a tidbit that most people wouldn't know
And
about that movie.
everybody died.
But people might go out and watch it now. Like it was because she was such a sweet little girl and she was so good in it, and then that's so tragic, you know. But as a whole, I think the Jaws franchise is good. One is by far a masterpiece, one of the best movies ever made. And now I'm going to leave it with that. Have any final thoughts?
I have a final thought because Matthew, I love you. You cut me off, but I like Jaws for the family stuff.
Okay.
I like Lorraine Gary's performance.
Yeah.
I like her scenes with Lance Guest. The whole idea of the shark following the family. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
It's really out there.
When it comes to sequel logic.
It was really out there.
The shark effects are subpar.
Would they do that now, though? I don't think they would do it now, because I think they would feel that they're insulting people's intelligence by going with that storyline.
I think if you were to make, if there was a 20 or 30 year kind of lapse between Jaws 3 and 4, I think if you were to revisit the Jaws franchise now, having there not be a 4 in '87, but make it now with the Brody family, and if Lorraine Gary, I don't think she's still acting, but having it be focused on the Brody family, I think that would be pretty good. Just from, as a
Like a
half-assed
Jaws
writer, man.
reboot or something? Or,
No, not a reboot. Just the fact that Jaws 4. I've seen so many cuts of this movie. There was this little narration right before. I think it was a TV cut. It was on PHL 17, and it's half-assed narrations. And sometimes things happen for reasons. Sometimes, is it fate? Or is it circumstance, or is it destiny? That kind of thing. That was in front of one of the cuts that I saw on PHL 17.
I remember that.
Now, I like the fact that the Brody family, because of what the chief did, might be somehow cursed. Because we do that stuff all the time.
So, Matt, do you have any final thoughts on the Jaws franchise?
I would actually like to see another one.
I would too.
Because I think it ended on a sour note.
Yeah.
Because Jaws 4, was a
reboot or sequel?
Well, no, like a sequel, kind of like what they did with Star Wars,
Right.
Or what they did with Rocky.
I wouldn't mind seeing
kind of
Dreyfus
something
back.
in the future, kind of exactly what they did with Star Wars. That's what I would hope to have. Because Jaws 4 basically was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that's pretty much my final thoughts on
Now,
it. What do you think about Jaws 4? That's pretty much my
I'm
verdict.
I'm part of the consensus. But the thing of it is, it's a Jaws movie. I grew up with this movie. I watched it on PHL 17. The same thing with Halloween and stuff like that. I like all the Jaws movies for their kitsch factor. I think 1 and 2 are the best. 1 is absolutely the best. 2 is close. It's close. It's a very good sequel. It's on my top 10 sequel list. But the shark effects are poor. There's no suspense. I like Lorraine Gary's performance. I like the family aspect of it. I like the Brody family. I love Lance Guest. We all love Lance Guest.
This time it's
I love Lance Guest.
This time it's personal.
Yeah, it's personal. Actually, I'm going to say it again. I met last guest, and I asked him about.
We love Lance.
Last guest. I asked him about last Starfighter, Halloween 2. I asked him. I said, when you slipped on the blood, was your character dead? When you get in the car with Lori and you kind of pass out onto the wheel, are you dying? And he's like, no, I actually don't die because at the end of Halloween 2, they're on the ambulance.
Made it. We made it.
There's a deleted scene. He's like, where my character does not.
He sounds
die.
like Jerry Lewis. We made it.
Yeah. So that's cool. So yeah, I mean, as far as Jaws of Revenge, I did see it in the theater. I remember being really horrified as a kid when Sean's arm gets ripped off and the yellow raincoat's just like all shredded and his big gaping wound
I
there.
don't know the name of the actor.
Yeah,
he was on Doogie Howser, MD. But
MD.
MD motherfucker.
MD.
But
No,
that was a good performance.
That was.
Good. And once again, that was PG-13, right?
You're right. I'm pretty sure it was PG-13.
And unfortunately, the little girl that was in
This is I don't want to get Phil's downer ending.
Ryan just squirms in his chair. The little girl that was in.
Because it's an awful story.
I like Jaws of Revenge.
It's a terrible story.
I like Jaws of Revenge better than Jaws 3D.
Jaws 3D.
3D. I remember my buddy came over. We rented it. We watched it, and I really liked it a lot. I thought it was good, even more than 3D. So I won't tell the little girl's story. Just look it up on Google, and just Google it.
Google it.
The little girl that was in the movie. Very tragic. Anyway, thank you guys. That is our take on the Jaws franchise. Thanks for tuning in.
That's all we have to say.
That's all we have to say, and we'll see you next week.
We will see you next week. Please keep tuning in.
Yes, please
because
do.
we have a lot to say, and I'm sure you want to hear it. Just keep tuning in. Because Matt gets upset, Phil gets upset. I literally, I don't.
Next
care.
week,
you guys want to tune in?
Next
don't
week,
tune
episode
in.
4.
Do your thing.
Next, I don't know what the theme's going to be yet, but it'll be episode 4.
We'll surprise you.
All right.
All right.